Ladies and gentlemen, I think we are about ready to start season 4, the gold standard in automotive talk shows on YouTube. That is the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. My name is Jason. I am the car guy of this equation, and right next door to me is
Straight Six Fan or Six Fan of the operation, and welcome everybody to yet another season. It turns out the network decided not to cancel us, so count myself and Jason both surprised that they've asked us back for another season.
yeah, I guess you could put it that way. They've extended our contracts, they've doubled our pay, so we are back for another season. And I hope you guys will stick around with us and keep an eye on what's coming up in the Car Guy and Six Fan Show this season, because we've got lots of great things coming your way. We've got a few things that we want to talk about tonight. But before we get into it, Grant, why don't you explain to our viewers a little bit about what we're doing here and why we started doing the Car Guy and Six Fan Show?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for those of you who maybe this is your first time here on the Car Guy and Six Fan Show, well, first off, welcome. And we say season 4, but there is a fall and a spring season, or winter and summer, however you want to say it. But we run the show about 18 weeks consecutive, and then we take breaks both around the holidays and then here at the start of summer. So this is our second summer iteration, and we started this, 2 years ago. Is that right? Is that the math?
Almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Yep.
almost 2 years ago. Jason and I met through various kind of growth live streams when the whole adpocalypse was going on, and we were all trying to pick up subscribers to get that magical 1,000 mark. And as time went on, we realized there wasn't a landing spot specific for automotive niche creators. And so that's what we want to create. We want to talk cars first and foremost, because that's what we're all about here. But we also want to talk a little bit about how to help you guys grow as channels and automotive creators as it is. So with that, Jason, who do we have in the show tonight over in the chat?
Well, before we jump over to the chat, I just want to welcome everybody who is going to be listening for the first time on the official Car Guy and Six Fan podcast. This is something new that we're doing this year. So if you listen to us on the podcast, thank you very much. If you want to see us live in person, Thursday evenings on YouTube, we alternate our channels. This week it's on my channel, Old Car Guy. Next week it'll be on Straight Six Fan. And you can catch us live Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central, 8 Eastern, 9 Atlantic time. If you don't know what Atlantic is, don't worry about it, because you're probably not from here anyway. Jump over to the chat, and we've got Josh Servette, and Josh is my wife's second cousin, nephew type. Anyways, Josh is here. We've also got America Bumper to Bumper. Hey, Kip, thanks for jumping in here. Mercury Lifestyle is with us. Will R. King Eric the Great. He's changed his name. King Eric the Greatest of all. Grimm's Auto Service, and I think that's about it so far that I can see. But thanks, guys, for joining us. We've got 12 people sitting in there now. If you haven't yet, take 2 seconds. Give this video a thumbs up. Hit that share button. Share it out on your social media. We want season 4 to be the biggest and the best season that Grant and I have put out there to date.
And as Jason mentioned, this will be the first year you can catch it. That we will be uploading the day after on SoundCloud.com. You can find us over on SoundCloud.com under just search Car Guy. That's with 2 R's, and it's the Shift 7 key Six Fan Show on SoundCloud, and you can find us there. So now give us a little bit of a break. It will be our first upload tomorrow. We think we know what we're doing, but if it's not up exactly tomorrow, rest assured. We will get some episode up at some point in time for season 4, but the idea is that by Friday morning, maybe you miss it, you want to listen to it on your commute to work. That's the idea. So anyway, tonight we wanted to, we also have some other big news that we'll probably over the course of the next 2 weeks kind of weave into the start of the show as well. So look for that. But before we get into the normal show format, we did also want to kind of preview, much like season 3, we plan on doing interviews again for season 4, and just want to kind of get you guys geeked out about some of the names we got coming up. Next week we will have I should have known this. Watch My Eco. We've got names like Flying Sparks Garage, George Clark, kind of the cameraman or the man behind the screen, of Nick's Garage, and Dylan McCool and Dirt Lifestyle already lined up. So, guys, we have some great names coming up, and be excited for many more coming along with that. So, we've talked enough about what to expect for season 4. Jason, let's just get into the episode.
Absolutely. So, one of the things that seems to be a big topic or a hot topic right now, because of this whole pandemic, there's been a lot of things in this world that have been put on hold, and a lot of them have to do with new vehicles or updated vehicles. Now, if you guys are following along with a lot of the car shows and car channels, you saw the 2021 Ford F-150 get released last week. And very, very soon, the 2021 Ford Bronco nameplate is being brought back into Ford's lineup. And that's going to consist of two different vehicles. So there's going to be one that is I want to call it a mid-size, and I believe it's going to be based on the Ford Ranger platform. And then you've got the Bronco Sport, which is kind of leading into kind of the platform that the Ford Escape is built on now. So we wanted to kind of open up the conversation a little bit with you guys and talk on what we know about the 2021 Ford Bronco and see what your guys' thoughts are on that. Now, I'm going to do a quick screen share here, and if I remember correctly from last year, is not to hit the X that makes me leave studio. So bear with me, Grant. I'm going to let you start talking a little bit about it while I see if I can find a picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, as Jason mentioned, there will be 3 Broncos in this new Bronco release. As he mentioned, there's the Bronco Sport, which will be a unibody frame construction, whereas the Ranger-based one, as you're seeing right there on the screen, is a body on frame. So, definitely, I think if you're a traditionalist like myself, you think all things off-road, frame on their body on frame is much more exciting, and the 2-door and 4-door of the, what we want to call that, the traditional style is definitely, I think, what most people are more excited about. But Jason, what are kind of your initial thoughts, or what was your initial reaction to some of these pictures that have started to be leaked?
Personally, my first impression when I started seeing some of these photos get released were watch out Jeep Wrangler, because I think that this is certainly something that's purpose built, and that is to give the Wrangler a run for its money. The off-road capabilities, the four-wheel drive capabilities, the frame, the body on frame build, the 2-door, 4-door configuration, the hard top, soft top configurations. I think they've also got supposed to have a 4-cylinder turbo, much like the Jeep, and a twin turbo V6 is anticipated in that. So this thing's not just going to be a run-of-the-mill utility wagon. This is going to be a purpose-built. Let's give Jeep a run for its money and blow the doors off. I mean, we know the doors come off of a Jeep, but pardon the pun. Maybe it was intended. I don't know. But again, that's one of the things that the Bronco. If you look at some of the pictures, I don't have many of them up there, but if you look at some of the pictures, the rear view mirror is mounted on the fender, not the door, which gives a one-up on the Bronco, so that when you pull the doors off, which is supposed to be able to be done, you still have a rear view mirror. Unlike the Jeep, when you take the doors off, you lose your mirrors.
Yeah, that's an interesting little detail. I didn't even think about that. I hadn't paid that close attention, I guess, to Jeeps. But one thing I will give Ford credit for, and again, if you guys are new to the show, get used to, I'm the Ford apologist anyway, so take this with a grain of salt. But the one thing I will say, I remember texting Jason a while ago when like that headline came out. Ford was basically literally saying, "Watch out, Jeep, because here we're coming." And I'm like, okay, like I love you guys, but that's a little bold. But then once we've seen some of the stuff launched in their initial marketing campaign right now, I gotta give credit to their marketing team. That image about the, what is it? Kind of in the middle of Jason's screen there, where it shows the silhouette of the 3, the Sport, the 2-door, and that one. If you guys haven't watched that release video, that one just gets you geeked up. And one of the lines that I really like from it is, it says, "You need something built with the toughness of an F Series and the spirit of a Mustang." And I think really that's what this vehicle is designed to be. As popular as the Raptors become, Now think about something in such a small package that's got off-road prowess like this Bronco is. I really think it's going to be a fairly successful vehicle.
Well, and one of the things that we have going for the Bronco too is that this is not per se a brand new vehicle that's going to hit the market. This Ford Ranger that we saw in North America released a couple of years ago is something that's been used around the world for several years. When we lost the Ford Ranger in 2011, it did not stop overseas. They continued to build it, that and the Mazda B platform, as the same vehicle. So overseas, they've kept this platform and it's been tried and true and been tested for years. When they bring it to North America, they simply made it a left-hand drive and put it into production. So this being based, at least the full-size Bronco or mid-size Bronco, is going to be based on that Ranger platform, giving us a vehicle that's been tried and tested for years. Unlike something that's just totally brand new concept, new engine, transmission, and all that stuff. It's not. We're not going to worry, or we shouldn't have to worry about quality control problems with this vehicle.
And one other thing I'd kind of add to that, when you say it's not a brand new vehicle, you were kind of looking at it through the lens of the platform,
right?
It's tried and true, like you just said, but also in a sense, it's from a brand standpoint, it's got brand equity, and the fact that it's been on a 30-year drought, I think, kind of helps to it. I mean, there's the Bronco following never really went away, and now that you're bringing it back, I think there's a lot of people getting excited for it, and so I think it's kind of a perfect combination of those two things. That although it's going to be a brand new vehicle for 2021, in a lot of ways it's not. It's relying on both what Jason said and what I said.
Yeah, and Will R just made a comment there in the chat that says everybody is going to love the new Bronco. Let me add to that. Everybody is going to love the new Bronco except for Jeep owners and Fiat Chrysler right now. So I do believe that this is something that Ford has stepped up their game. They needed something that was going to pull them out of the woodwork. And again, if you followed the F-150 release last week, there's a ton of new features in that truck that's carried out through the Ford lineup. And in this Bronco will have some of that too. That's going to make it the next best selling, or I mean, still the best selling truck on the road. It's refined a lot of things, and those features will be carried over into this Bronco and to the Bronco Sport. So for those of you guys who ever thought of jumping on the Jeep bandwagon and haven't done it yet, whoa, put on the brakes, hang on, because this just might be what your daddy ordered.
Well, I know my little brother, who recently totaled a 2019 Toyota Tacoma, has already been eyeing these with his insurance check. So we'll see. And I told him actually probably to stop texting me, because I'm only going to encourage him to make that decision, and I probably won't be fair in that regard. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Before we get off the car chat, I know, Jason, I'll let you monitor the chat a little bit. The only other thing I think we didn't cover in great detail, and of course this is all speculation, we don't know these things. Of course, Ford's going to release this on, I think it's the 13th. It was supposed to be tonight, until the world found out O.J. Simpson's birthday is today, and everybody thought, nah, maybe tonight's not the night. So July 13th will be the and hopefully I can watch that live stream. The F-150 one was kind of drawn out maybe too much, but it was also funny seeing everybody in the chat, like, just release the truck now. It's like, come on, people, like, you would be, if you were in control of marketing, you'd be doing the same thing. But from a power plant standpoint,
I'm sorry, I could not put this vehicle up on the screen. You said it, I wasn't even going to say it. Anyways, I just had to pop that up there for a quick second.
Well, and I think his was the next generation, the 92.
Well, I think it was. Well, no, yeah, it probably was, because this all happened in like 95 or 6 when. Anyways, let's get off topic for a second. We're going to go back into the chat, and I did notice a comment made by Paul Riccardi. He says, I imagine most off-roading of the majority of these will be bouncing over the curbs at the grocery store. And just like Jeeps, yes, you're 100% right, Paul. But man, bouncing over them curbs in style.
Well, yeah, the only other thing I think we hadn't touched on was it's speculated the 2.3 liter EcoBoost will probably be the main power plant for most base models, uh, excluding the Sport, of course, because the Sport's going to be your more or the less manly option. We'll put it that way. And then likely the 4-door version or the more elite ones, speculated probably get the 2.7 liter V6 EcoBoost. But so it'll be interesting to see what Ford uncovers. They do think for maybe the Bronco Sport, maybe it gets a hybrid option and a smaller EcoBoost. But we're not here to talk about the Bronco Sport. We're here to talk about the other ones. So.
Yeah, for sure. So if we had to sum up and kind of finish up this segment of the live stream tonight, would be kind of final words on the Bronco 2. Now, I kind of gave it my initial thoughts. Grant, why don't you kind of close this segment out and telling us, sum up what your feelings are of this new Bronco.
Well, I don't think anything's going to be too much more unique than what you've already said, Jason, that Ford, from a financial standpoint, drastically needs to pull this off. And from what I've seen so far between the marketing campaign and kind of the leaked images, the silhouettes, I all indications are they've done it the right way. And I think it will take off and be fairly successful, especially with, cars are not being produced anymore. But I think the American public is also, I think, getting a little wary on, okay, not everybody needs to own a truck. And so I think this is kind of the right time to introduce a vehicle like this, something a little smaller, but it still is going to give you the, it's still an SUV. So,
yeah, and possibly a topic for another show, is when some things fade away and new things arise. Like back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, like early 80s, station wagons were the big thing, right? And with the advent of the minivan by Chrysler, and then everybody kind of jumped on that bandwagon, station wagons went away. Well, now we're steering away from the sedan and moving into the compact and subcompact SUVs and on up the chain. So it's kind of the direction that we're going, and I think that with if you start getting men, and I'm not trying to be sexist here by no means, but if you start getting men out of their sedans, their sporty little sedans, you're going to need a alternative for that sporty little car or sporty big car, whatever they were driving in the past. And I think things like the Wrangler and the Bronco are going to be some of those. GM is trying to do it with the nameplate Blazer. I just think they failed miserably with it. But nevertheless, I think there's a lot of that stuff is starting to come back and move away from the sedan and get into the sporty kind of off-road capable pavement princess type of thing.
well, like you said, we've pulled sports cars a little bit out of the market because we've stopped making passenger cars. I mean, I thought actually it looked like the market was going to go in the direction with the Dodge Charger, that the 4-door sports car was going to be a thing. And kudos to them because they're keeping that alive. But like to go after like your big BMW, performance BMW 4-door cars, that kind of a thing, and it kind of faded out. But so I think, yeah, we just need, it's the new version of the sports car. I think the market needs something sporty that only seats 4 people, and it's different than your pony cars and things like that. But did want to say hi to some people that have jumped in the chat since we first started, and we got a lot of names that are new. In fact, I want to draw special attention to Streetcar Culture, who joins us from a hemisphere away and a day away, actually, from the future, because we've crossed the international date line there. He is from Australia, so welcome to the show. Stupid Fast Truck is a name that showed up quite a bit last season. Patrick Hattrick, that's fun to say. Michigan Muscle Car Garage, Antonio Claudio Michael, Mustang Guy 6501, a gentleman I've been conversing with on Instagram recently. Eford Garage, I don't know that we caught your name out of the outlet. Corey Pratt's in the house as well. So welcome everybody to season 4. Hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you tell a friend about the show because that's how this thing grows.
And so we're going to move on to the next excuse me, move on to the next segment. And this is where we talk a little bit about channel struggles / growth hacks. We want to kind of help you guys who are YouTubers, who are sharing, your passion with the world through the YouTube platform. And we're not professionals by no means. We're not experts, but we want to share with you some of the things that we've learned that's worked or not worked with us. And Grant has a little something he wants to share. So this is the part of the show where we talk about growth hacks or channel struggles.
So one of the things I wanted to kind of make note of is this is sort of like, between seasons. It's like, what did I do on my summer vacation, right? When you return to school. So, between the end of season 3 and season 4 now, Jason hit a major milestone on his channel, which was 400 uploads. And for some of you people, he made a big deal about it. And you might be thinking like, so what's so glorious about 400 compared to like say 500, maybe going from 250 to 500. And I think what is overlooked is I tried finding this video and I couldn't find the exact video, but it was one of those bigger like Nick Nimmons, Creator Fundamentals, maybe Roberto Blake, one of those creators, is always like helping people grow. And it was through TubeBuddy that they got these analytics. But what they found was that most channels who have 10,000 subscribers, it was something like 92% or something of channels that had 10,000 or more subscribers had a minimum of 400 uploads. And so I want you guys to let that sink in for a bit. It doesn't mean that you just race to 400 uploads and all of a sudden you've magically got 10,000 subscribers. But, oftentimes, I'll be honest here, Jason, I get a little jealous, knowing that I started YouTube way before you do, and you leapfrogged me in your growth. But it's because I'm still at 300. I'm barely over 300 uploads myself. And so I'm trying to point this out, that sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the woe is me, why am I not growing kind of a thing. Just keep in mind that if you have under 400 subscribers, you would be or 400 uploads, you're in a really rare company to be over even probably 5,000 subscribers. So if you think, hey, the subscribers, why aren't the subscribers there? You just got to keep uploading. And there's this author who wrote this book. I had to write this down because I didn't actually read it. I heard this somewhere else, but it's the 10,000 hour rule. It was Malcolm Gladwell's The Outliers. And his concept was basically like, you become a master at anything after 10,000 hours. And so I think this 400 upload rule is kind of the benchmark or the milestone you guys should all think about, that over the course of, you could vlog every day and just put out 400 videos, and you might not grow as much as if you took time off and really try to put production value in or whatever. There's many different ways you can do it. But I guarantee you the difference between upload 1 and upload 400 is you're just naturally going to grow. You're fine-tuning your craft and you're learning so much. So sorry that was a long segment, but that's essentially what I just wanted to get at.
Well, excuse me, and I'll just kind of jump on that too, is that when people start a YouTube channel, and I'm only speaking from my experience, just because that's the only experience that I have. But when I started my YouTube channel, one of my goals initially was not to get monetized. It was not to reach a certain goal. It was to get on there, make some videos, and see if anybody wanted to watch what I had to say. At the end of the day, I proved that, well, to date, there's about 3,800 of you that want to watch what I have to say, and I am very appreciative of that. As far as the 400 uploads, it was significant to me simply because I had a goal in mind. And that goal was to get to the monetization specifications that YouTube had set out. After I got going, I said, you know what? I think I can do this. 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours. And in order for me to do that, I had to start producing some videos. 3 uploads a week. I was putting out 8 to 10, 15-minute max videos 3 times a week, I was recording, I was editing, I was uploading, I was going live. And that is what got me to where I am today. I've stepped back. I'm only doing 2. And I even now I question how in the world did I ever do 3? Because even today it's got me so busy. I just pulled up my YouTube tracker. My YouTube tracker says that as of right now, I've got 14,000 watch hours in the last 365 days. I'm not showing you that to brag. I'm showing you that to prove that if you're in it to hit a certain goal and to accomplish something, it's all in your ability to push forward. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you put into it, the harder it's going to be. But it all comes natural as a point in time. I go back and look at the very first video I ever did. I was nervous. I was making stupid dad jokes, and I just felt like I was an idiot. But going back, it was that helped me get comfortable in front of the camera. It was that allowed me to be here doing this live with Grant and you guys watching us today. So keep pushing forward. Set goals. If you don't set goals, you'll never reach them. That's my soapbox.
Yeah, or if you can set goals and then get frustrated for not being on pace like my own, but that's all right.
You'll get there, buddy.
and that's what this show's all about, moral support.
Absolutely.
Well, anyway, this is so that's, again, if for some of you that are new to the show, this is kind of how this works. We talk cars in the beginning. We talk, lessons learned, growth strategies, things that we want to help you grow as a channel as well. And so if you've seen a new name in the chat that you don't recognize, spend a minute or two, at least go click their channel or write their name down. I forget, have they disabled that?
I think they have, yeah.
They disabled that. Well, write some names down, give them a view. You don't have to give them a subscription or a like or anything. Just go give them a view, try out some of these channels, see if there's anybody you might pick up some new followers through this. So we always encourage you to do that. And then towards the end of the show, we always try to, well, sometimes we like to highlight something extra. It's time dependent. If there's a special feature of a car or something we want to highlight, we'll do that here. But then we like to open it up to questions from the chat. So guys, start thinking of questions in the chat. We'll try to monitor that and answer that and engage with you guys here for the tail end of the show.
Yeah, and in the meantime, we always like to take a quick few minutes for each other to let you guys know some of the upcoming things that are happening on our channels, some future videos that you might be expecting or not expecting. So Grant, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you've got going on the Project Low Fairmont? I see in your most recent video you did get the intake on.
Yeah, so we will be. I think what Sunday's recording is going to be about is kind of trying to tie up a bunch of the loose ends. I need to rebuild the carburetor, so that's something I wanted to get all these loose ends just hanging over my head, just done, out of the way. That I don't have to worry about or distract me. So when it comes time to rebuild the carburetor, I can just focus on that. And so we're talking about pressurizing the coolant system, spark plug wire modification. Hooking up miscellaneous vacuum lines, kind of roughly setting the distributor and what's the right spot. We made some marks to make sure that we can generally get it started in the right spot. So things like that is what I think the next upload's probably most likely going to be about. Jason, what do you have cooking?
Well, I've got Saturday's video all ready to go. It's scheduled to upload at midnight my time, so that's going to be Friday night for most of you guys. I'm still struggling, and I'm blaming Trucker Dave for this. And I know he's in the chat there somewhere. I'm still struggling with a few gremlins on my C10, my 77 C10. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about some possible cures to those gremlins. And in the very near future, I know a lot of guys want to see more of my Panther platform, my Mercury Grand Marquis video. videos. So I am in search of a rear diff, and we are going with a P71 differential, track lock, so to speak, I guess is what they call it in the Ford terms. And it will be likely the 327 gears, same, I believe, is what Grant put on his car. So we want to get that thing spinning on both rear wheels. We want to upgrade that rear end to make it come alive a little bit quicker. And once I do that, then I am going to be getting the programmer um, and get that thing flashed and get those shift points all buttoned down. So yeah, we got some future stuff coming up on Grandma. You guys aren't going to want to miss that. So we've got lots coming on the show. We've been trying to highlight a little bit of each of my vehicles. So the Chrysler Cordoba behind me, we've been doing some stuff with that. My square body truck and the Grand Marquis. So there's lots of those coming very, very soon. So I hope you guys stay tuned.
Well, we had a couple questions rolling from the chat, and the first one that I want to address is one that I don't know if I understand completely what's being asked. So Michigan Muscle Car Garage asks, can you put links in? So I want to know if you're talking about like hyperlinks or if you're talking about a links suspension like on the Panther platform. I don't know if that came in. So if you could clarify that, we'll come back to your question. But King Eric, the greatest of all, asks, Jason, how's the car lot going?
Well, it's up and down with this with everything that's going on in the world. There's not a lot of people out there spending money unless they absolutely have to. So it's hit and miss. The shop has stayed steady, but as far as car sales, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos, we went 39 days between the end of March and the 1st of May without selling any cars. And when you're in the car business and you're a used car lot and that is your bread and butter, that's tough. So 2020 can piss off. I hope that things do get better, and I hope that the business certainly comes back. We put 3 vehicles out last week, which is about probably half of normal, and we've only put 1 out this week. So it's hit and miss. We're almost back to full staff, and things are slowly moving forward.
Well, at least there's a little bit of hope, it seems. Yeah, 2020 has been rough on all of us, no doubt. So next question that came up. Well, so I'll let you maybe handle this. Patrick Hattrick asks, why don't y'all invite others on your panel? Old car guy. So I tried to address that a little bit in the chat, but I figured maybe he mentioned he kind of wanted to hear your response. So
yeah, so with the show, it's a shared venture between myself and Grant. So obviously we're the hosts, and we'll be here obviously every week. But what we started doing last year was we started a schedule where we would have one episode where it was just Grant and I talking with you guys, and then we would have 2 consecutive weeks with guests. So we will have guests on the panel where we'll be asking questions and featuring their channels and what they're up to. And like we said in the beginning of this episode, we've got some big names coming. So yeah, we will have some more here next week. If you want to tune into the Car Guy and Six Fan show, it will be on Grant's channel. So if you're not subscribed to him, go over there and do that now, because you want to be notified when we go live. Just in case you forget, he'll send you a notification when we get up there. And that's kind of what this is all about. If you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering who some of these people are that we're talking about in the chat, this live stream stays up on our channels every week, so you can go back and catch it after the fact. So you might already hear the information, but if you want to see some of these people who are talking in the chat and check out their channels, you can go back after the show.
And we have maybe a first for the Car Guide Six Fan show, and we do want to encourage you guys to think this way. But Streetcar Culture was asking to be a guest, and so we'll certainly entertain that. We're filling out our schedule for season 4, and it's not all the way filled out. So since we haven't, Jason, unless you're familiar with this channel, I'm not. I don't really know what you're about, but that doesn't mean really next to anything. But we would want to at least familiarize ourselves with your channel a little bit. But really cool. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, and I guess the biggest the biggest hurdle with that, I guess, in my opinion, probably is going to be the time zone change. Like for us, I'm approaching 9:30 my time, which is going to be 7:30 Grant's time. If and you're probably in the early hours of the morning, likely where you are. So we'll work that out. We'll reach out to you, and if you don't hear from me this week, just send me a private message on Instagram, and I'll be sure to get back to you. We'll try and work something out there.
And I think, I mean, of course, King Eric, the greatest of all, is never short on questions. I think we've kind of naturally answered most of his questions, but I did get one from Darren's Gray Goat asking if I will be taking on Cletus McFarlane in his burnout pad anytime soon in the Fairmont. And no, but as far as burnouts are concerned, I have a burnout video for Project Low Fairmont in the hopper for when I hit 2,000 subscribers. So if you want to see what the old gal could do bone stock, but with a set of 327 gears and a track lock rear end, I'd be happy to upload that. So help me get to 2,000 subs, and we'll do that. I think I'm at like 1690 maybe right now, but anyway. Anything we missed, Jason? Because I know we're kind of nearing the end of our normal length.
Yeah, we probably we may have missed a few of your questions, guys. So please don't take offense to that. We are trying to keep our show within that 35-minute maximum time slot. Unless we start talking about some really good stuff and it's real juicy and everyone's kind of into that, then we'll keep on moving. But we are looking to close out this season premiere of the Car Guy and Six Fan Show, the gold standard in automotive talk show on YouTube, guys. Remember that slogan, because that's going to get us somewhere someday. We'll be quoting that when we're sitting there talking to some bigwig. Well, we might be talking to Dr. Phil looking for some help at some point, but nevertheless, we are getting ready to close this out. I'm going to say my goodbyes. Thank you guys for tuning into the show tonight. Remember, next week it's on Grant Tommy's channel, who is Straight Six Fan. Again, I encourage you. I've got his link down in the description box down below, so go down, subscribe to him, and turn that bell notification on, guys. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next week.